Taiwan is experiencing an increasing wealth gap with young people trapped in poverty due to low income and high unemployment. Economic growth is not benefiting this generation. To address this, a proposal suggests implementing unconditional basic income, also known as the UBI, which involves providing regular and unconditional cash payments to all individuals regardless of employment status or means of testing. We have 4 reasons to support our argument, from automation, wealth inequality, young people that are feeling hopeless about their future, and to those in need. The first one is automation. Taiwan's industry's demand skills has changed, leading to unemployment and reduced production costs. Machines can increase efficiency and profits with low labor costs. Governments and businesses should promote training and upgrading to adapt the labor force, explore new opportunities, and achieve sustainable economic growth. The second one is wealth inequality. According to the gross national wealth status in 2020 by the Directorate General of Budget, accounting and status from exclusive yuan benefit from the rise in stock prices more than 20%. The wealth of Taiwanese people continued to hit a world record high at the end of 2020. And the average net excess value of each household rose to more than 16 million new Taiwanese dollars. The debt per household has also risen about 2 million Taiwanese dollars. At the end of 2020, our country's gross national wealth is 270 trillion new Taiwanese dollars, and the net national social wealth after deducting the depreciation is 216 trillion new Taiwanese dollars. It is held by the 4 sectors of family, by enterprise, government, and non-profit groups, of which family sectors account for about 2/3. The third one is that young people are feeling hopeless about their future. Taiwanese young people are facing several challenges that are making them feel hopeless about their future. The first one is their job market is highly competitive, and there are not enough jobs opportunities to meet their ends. Secondly, many young people have struggled to afford basic living expenses due to the rising living costs and low wages. And the third one is that there are a lack of social mobility and a growth but wealth gap, which makes it harder for young people to climb the economy ladder. Finally, the COVID-19 pandemic has further exacerbated these issues, leading to increased uncertainty and anxiety about their future. The fourth one is we need to help those in need. The government bailout policy aims to provide the resources to those in need, but it cannot track people's real income, leading to a focus on fraud prevention. However, the lack of solidary economy has resulted in the weak support of Taiwan's social wealth system. The labor front suggests arranging units on shared workers and putting poor into various systems to establish and track their life and work conditions to prevent social exclusion. Discrimination against poverty is the key to the victorious circle of fraud prevention and social exclusion.
That's time.
Okay.
Greetings. UBI is an idea that proposes to provide a fixed amount of money to every individual, regardless of their income or employment status. Although it sounds appealing at first glance, we believe that there are several reasons why we should be cautious about UBI. Implementing UBI would cause following problems. First, it is inefficient to pay the wealthy as the money they receive makes no difference. UBI proposes to give the same amount of money to every individual, regardless of their financial situation, meaning that the wealthy should receive the same amount of money as those who are struggling to make ends meet. Making little sense. The Constitution Review number 485 also states that due to the limited resources the government holds, efficiency should be prioritized when it comes to distribution. Hence, it concluded that the government should not overprotect people with sufficient ability to survive. Granting UBI to people with sufficient money is a waste of government resources that could be better utilized for other purposes such as healthcare and education. Second, the injection of originally static money into the society will cause inflation due to the increased velocity the currency circulates in the free markets. According to Investovia, inflation occurs when the increase in money circulating in an economy is higher than the increase in goods produced. With the increase of capital in the lower social class, money originally spent on luxuries and stocks instead raises the demand for livelihood goods. With the rise of demand without the rise of supply, price growth, causing inflation, said the Reserve Bank of Australia. This could lead to wages being valued lower than previously expected. What's more, according to the Ministry of Health and Welfare, the current lowest living cost for every person per month is 12,000 to 19,000 NZD per month. With inflation caused by UBI, the money the poor receive furthermore decreases in value, making it impossible for people in need to reach the basic living standard. Thirdly, implementing UBI will require a significant amount of funding, which may not be feasible for the government. UBI proposes to provide every individual with a fixed amount of money, which means that the government would have to find the funds to support it. With the current economic situation, where many countries are facing financial challenges, it would be difficult to find the necessary funds to implement UBI without increasing taxes significantly or cutting other essential services. Last week, with UBI being funded by progressive taxation, the rich would have to contribute more than the poor, which could lead to a situation where wealthy individuals decide to leave the country to avoid being exploited. Take France as an example. According to the Guardians, the French government imposes 75% rates on earnings above €1 million, but most French taxpayers disapproved of the 75% rate. France's richest man, Bernard Arnault, the chief executive of luxury group LVMH, took out the Belgian nationalities, and the actor Gerard Depardieu also moved across the border to Belgium before obtaining Russian citizenship. The surtax clearly damaged the French reputation and competitiveness. George Stichman, the head of the executive search firm Kennedy Executive, said, "It clearly has become harder to attract international senior managers to come to France than it was. This could be detrimental to the country's economy as the rich are usually job creators and investors who contribute to the country's growth." In conclusion, while UBI may sound appealing as a social welfare policy, we should be cautious about its implementation. The potential for wealth individuals to move out of the country, the unfairness of paying the wealthy, and the lack of funds needed to support it are all the reasons why we should rethink UBI. Thank you.
We have 3 minutes of crossfire. Yeah.
Okay. So let's make sure the few argument that you stated. The first is automation, and the technology right now leads to the unemployment. And second is inequality. And you said a lot of numbers, so I'm not really sure. Can you say again the number? Like you said, like 16 million funds were.
At the end, according to wealth inequality, at the end of 2020, our country's gross national wealth is 270 trillion new Taiwanese dollars, and the net national wealth after deducting the depreciation is 216.5 trillion.
Okay, so the third one is hopeless. You think the young people are feeling hopeless because of the job. They don't have enough money to meet the basic living costs.
Yeah.
And the last one is COVID-19. It leads to anxiety about the future.
And the last one is we need to help those in need. And the COVID-19 is part of the young people that are feeling hopeless.
I want to make sure that, because you want to implement a UBI, right?
Yeah.
So how do you implement your UBI? Yeah, I want to know how do you implement your UBI.
Our plan is that people under the age of 18 gets $5,000 a month, and the people over 18 gets $10,000 per month.
So why people under 18 should only get $5,000 a month?
People under 18 didn't have a very important need that they need to buy
So
something.
you think that the people under 18 don't have important needs, so they can receive only $5,000? So are there any evidence shows that they don't have much money? Like how do you get the $5,000? And how do you, sorry, can you read for me?
Okay.
It shows very simple. And how do you get the $10,000? Okay. Oh, just give it to me. So where is this at? So where?
Okay.
I think you got. So I'll ask the next question. So how do you get the $10,000 to pay for? How do you get this number? Because you said you want to pay every adult $10,000 per month. All right. So you can later give us that evidence.
Okay.
So okay, continue. So you guys don't know how do you get the $10,000 UBI? Like why do you get it? So you don't really know. So if you're not really sure about the $10,000, then you can ensure that these $10,000 will solve the problems the argument session made. All right. So I want to see the next evidence.
Time.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, greetings. As the second affirmative speaker, I'm going to start by responding negative. Okay, according to Pressman, a professor of finance, he said it also makes sense to consider floating basic income guarantees, which can rise as unemployment rises or fall as markets approach for employment, reducing the inflationary impact of basic income guarantees. Pressman also said that whether basic income causes inflation will depend on the overall state of economy and how basic income security is funded. And I'm going to get back to our contention. First, according to Oxford Economics, it analyzed the data and concluded that by 2030, about 20 million manufacturing jobs worldwide will disappear, and the tax of these jobs will be taken over by automated systems. Moreover, if these laid-off workers think of another way out of the service industry, they will also find that it is also rapidly being occupied by machines. And second, the gap between the rich and the poor in Taiwan is very large. The rich people are rich, and the poor people will be poorer. The distribution of UBI can solve the problem of the large gap between the rich and the poor. Third, many young people have no sense of hope because of low wages, bad bosses, overtime, and unemployment. And UBI can solve the problem of those bosses oppressing employees, so those employees still have some confidence to refuse the oppression of those bosses. And the last, and is the most important condition, is that people excluded by social welfare. For many families who own old houses and are in a poor economic situation, old houses are the only place they can shelter from, and changing to rent old, poor, and remote houses are not easy to be accepted by the mainstream market. Therefore, in a situation of falling disadvantage, people cannot enter the list of subsidies related to high income and fall into the fringes of social welfare policies. And I'm going to say our plan. Our affirmative plan is that people $10,000, and our total cost will be 2.55 trillion. We have budget of 700 billion and another 1.3 trillion, a total of $2 trillion can be used to send the UBI. And I'm going to responding about the cross-examination. Our tax revenues comes from adjusting total tax revenues as a percentage of GDP, excluding social donations, from 13.2% to 19.9%. So we will have a total of 1.3 trillion in tax. Thank you.
Should we be taking prep? Are you taking prep time? You can take prep, but in between time.
Okay, so we're sitting.
Okay, starting now. That's 15 seconds of prep.
Greeting. So the affirmative sign brought up 4 contentions. Let's look at them one by one. The first contention is about automation causing unemployment. Something that I'm a bit confused about is, if automation causes unemployment, why can't we create more jobs to let these people go to have jobs and have work and create value? Why do we have to use UBI to solve this problem? The second contention is about the wealth gap. My question is that if it is a UBI, it gives everybody the same money. So the wealth gap is still the same, like 1 plus 1 and 3 plus 1. The gap is still 2. So it doesn't improve the gap at all. The third contention is about young people being able to leave their jobs. But I'm a little confused. If there's a minimum wage already for every job, then why can't they just leave their jobs to go to a different job? Because the minimum wage is the same. They can still earn enough money for them to survive. They still have sufficient money to survive. And the last is about solving the poverty's need for money, which we said in our case that inflation causes these money to decrease in value. And your system only gives $10,000, which is already not enough to meet the 12,000 to 19,000 standard of basic living costs. And inflation further cuts that down, so the 10,000 becomes something like 9,000. So it's not enough for the poverty to survive. And then the system also has a problem. So the affirmative side has not been responsible of telling us where the money comes from, where the funds come from. Because the 10,000 grant per person requires around $3 trillion, and they haven't told us where they will fund the money from. And even if they fund the money from tax rates, they will not reach the amount of money that is needed, because the rich people, they will move out when the tax rates increase. And more people will move away from the country once the tax rates increase, and there will be less money to tax on. So the money to tax on is less, and if you raise the tax rates, you still will not reach the tax needed to grant UBI. And then the last problem about their system is giving 5,000 to people under 18 and giving 10,000 to people over 18. Since it is a UBI, I think it should be, it's unconditional basic income. So where does the difference come from to give 5,000 under 18 and 10,000 over 18? If there's a 17-year-old who doesn't have parents and cannot go to work, then why are you only giving them $5,000 to survive? And then back to our contentions. So our contentions is that paying the rich is inefficient, because if they earn $200,000 per year, paying the 1,000 really just doesn't make a difference. So if we use the money that is given to the rich to put into welfare and stuff, then it might be better. And besides, we already have these low-income subsidies. So if we increase the money put into low-income subsidies, we can improve the subsidies' efficiency. And the second is inflation. So inflation causes the money to become not as valuable. So this causes the affirmative side to not be able to solve their problems about the poverty, leaving poverty, and also they cannot solve the problems of the wealth gap because they're giving the same amount of money to everyone, so the gap doesn't change, and also the money decreases in value, so everybody receives not as much money as they think. And also, what we would like to hear. Okay. Okay, you can ask questions.
Do you agree with our core value?
What core value?
Just about that people excluded by social welfare.
I agree that you should help them, but I'm saying that your policy does not help them effectively.
Then how could you achieve?
We could put more money into these low-income subsidies to improve the quality and the efficiency of doing these sort of stuff instead of giving money out to both the rich, the middle class, and the poor, because that's a more efficient distribution of the country's resources.
Okay. And so, do you think that UBI can help workers pursue better working conditions?
I do not understand why they cannot pursue better working conditions under the current situation, because if they pursue a better working condition, don't they still get money from the new company? Why do they need UBI to do this company transferring action?
Okay.
And I would also like you to explain where your money comes from, because it would need a huge amount of money, so I need to see.
Evidence.
Yes.
Okay. I can make my
Okay.
and answer.
And do you have any more questions?
No.
Okay, and so I would also like to ask, why can't we create more jobs for those unemployed by innovating new businesses and stuff? Why do we have to give those unemployed UBI when they can already get low-income subsidies and stuff if they really don't have the money?
Because maybe some jobs will be it's a professional job, right? And maybe some people's education cannot.
Okay, so
Which one?
which one? So what are we trying to say?
Here and here.
So would you read it?
Oh, okay. Just the president said she will give us 700 billion, and we
And what?
and we're going to increase the tax. It's called 1%. Just
If you only increase 1% of point
no,
of the
it's
tax.
not 1%. It's from 13.2 to 19.9, and we will have 1.7 trillion.
The
every
same
year.
problem. When you increase the tax, some of the wealthy don't want to give the money, so they move to countries with lower tax rates,
But-
like the U.S. Virgin Islands or something. And then you can't get the tax needed because there's a curve, and then.
Will you be taking part time? You have 3 minutes to prepare.
Okay, thank you.
going if you want. You have 1 more minute for the whole debate. That's all your prep time?
We have heard that the negative side have give us some reasons why we can't give out UBI. I have questions to one of one. One said, our UBI is giving out money to those in need, not those in need, but the people in need in Taiwan. The major part of them didn't have a professional job or something that can maintain their living. But the rich person they have a professional job in the society. But usually the poor in the society didn't have a profession. So giving out UBI is not to help the rich people. It's to help the people that really needs this money. And we don't think that the rich moving out of Taiwan can solve their tax problems, because places like the US, the cost is much higher than Taiwan. So we don't think that this is a point that to this problem. In our summary, Taiwan is facing an increasing wealth inequality, with young people particularly struggling with the low income and high unemployment. To address this issue, we must suggest employing the UBI, which will provide regular and unconditional cash payments to all individuals, regardless of employment status or means of testing. So, one of the reasons for growing wealth gap in Taiwan is the rise of automation, which have led change in demands for skills of reducing the product costs. And this has resulted in unemployment, making the essential for governments and businesses to promote training and upgrading to adapt the labor force. And despite the record high wealth of Taiwanese households, the richest 20% owns 156 times more excess than the poorest 20%, indicating a significant wealth gap. The Guinea conflict, which measures income distributions, also remains highly uneven. people are feeling increasingly hopeless about their future due to the high competitive job market that the rich want gets and the people who doesn't have a profession didn't get. So we need UBI to support the people who doesn't have a professional profession. While the government payout policy aims to provide resources to those in need, it's limited by the inability to track people's real income, leading to focus on a fraud prevention, the lack of solidarity economy.
use our website. Sure. Okay, my summary will start now. So the opposing side said have four contention. One is automation. Two is inequality. Three is hopeless for it will be hopeless for young people in the job market. And the last one is they will help implementing UBI will deal with poverty. So the first one, automation. You said that automation led to an unemployment rate, but in our first constructive, we said that if we have evidence showed that if you implement a UBI, the wealthy will move out. So that will lead to a increase in unemployment rate. And second is and the opposing side said that U.S. have a higher tax rate than Taiwan, so the company won't move there. But there's a lot of countries have a lower tax rate in Taiwan, like in a lot of different areas, like U.S. Virgin Island, they nearly don't have a tax. And second, he said that inequality led to the right now there's a huge gap between rich people and poor people. But as our second speaker said, if you give all of the people the same amount of money, the gap won't change. And so, and the third one, he said that young people is now feeling hopeless in job market. But what's the difference between putting those money into subsidies than implementing UBI? So if you're putting money into subsidies, they can solve like no matter from changing inequality or letting people get their jobs. So we're a little confused about that. And their policy said that they'll increase the tax rate from 13% to 19%. But we haven't evidence showed that the current Taiwan taxation, the total current Taiwan taxation is 3.2 trillion. And if you increase if you increase 19% for maximum, you're only getting more for about 6 billion. So we're not really sure if that 6 billion will solve the 2.55 trillion that the implementing UBI will cost. And so the opposing side summary says that they want to help the poor and not give the money and not help the rich. They implement the UBIs to help the poor. But why you give the money to the rich? Like you didn't solve this problem, because if you give it to the rich, we argue that this is a inefficient use and it is a waste for our society.
Do we all have to go on stage or the?
You can sit if you want. I don't
Oh.
care.
Oh,
Unless anybody else. So you all talk, but you can sit down. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
care.
that's fine. Oh, sorry.
Okay, student time.
Who wants to start first?
we have agreed that we should help those in need and we shouldn't help those that are rich, right?
Yeah, you agree on we can't help those in rich, but do you think the rich people really need $10,000 in order to survive or
Yeah,
pay their investigations?
So that's a problem. You give $10,000 to all the rich if you implement a UBI. So it is inefficient use.
Do you think the rich people really cares about $10,000? They are pay investigations, billions and trillions of investigation to gain more money.
Yeah,
they don't care.
Since
They
they
don't
don't
care,
care.
Since they don't care, so
Since they don't
need the
care,
money.
we should use these resources to better distribute it into like these subsidy markets and stuff. Like, so we have two problems. One is that you can't get the money, and if you can't get the money, it's not efficient enough. Because and what's the difference between the subsidies that we already have now for the low-income people and the unemployed and UBI? We can't understand.
So you think it's more efficient to pass out money to all the individuals one by one?
We think
pass
that the
out all the
money
money.
given to the rich should be saved and given into like subsidies, social subsidies for the poor or something. That will meet the core value of your guys, of the opposing side. They said that you want to help the poor. Then that's a more efficient way to distribute.
But how can you find the poor?
Because they can go get the money. Like, that's how low-income subsidies and welfare of the modern society works. So,
Okay.
if-
Questions too.
But now still have a lot of people can get really need the poor can get the information about the social welfare.
First, we haven't heard evidence from you proving this. Second, if we have more money to put into these subsidies, we can improve the information spread and let more people get the money, because we have more money to give to people and we have more money to spread information. And so I would like to ask a question again. So how do you solve the money that is not enough?
If we really don't do enough, we can have a debt.
But the debt, we have a evidence here saying that if you keep raising debt every year, the country will have debt that is
So
too
we have
high.
evidence here to show that if you increase the loans, then it will meet the sovereign credit rating,
Okay.
and it'll make people
Okay.
not invest.
So if you raise debt every year, then nobody will want to buy our debt.
Yeah, we don't have any left.
No.
You don't have any left.
Okay. I think we need to protect the people who we need. And those people maybe could not get the information, or people cannot enter a list of subsidies related to low income. And I'm going to take an example for you. Taking Mr. Zheng as an example, only the youngest son is supporting the family with a family of 6 and has to bear the medical living expenses of his parents, 3 older siblings, and the salary of foreign nursing. Therefore, Mr. Zheng had long wanted to sell the land in his wife's name to make his family a little better. But unfortunately, the reality was not what people wanted. Spreading out the situation of marginalized households is often strikingly similar. They are a group of vulnerable people who are so poor that they only have a house. The main purpose of our UBI is to protect those who do not receive social welfare benefits but cannot survive. According to Maslow's pyramid theory, these people who are already unable to survive can achieve life security after getting the UBI, like the street mates on the road. They can achieve the dignity of life and maintain their quality of life. And some young people can also use this money to start a business and prevent exploitation. As a government, we we should enact unconditional basic income. Thank you.
We would like to take a bit prep time. Greetings. So both the affirmative side and the negative side have agreed that the rich people don't need help and we all want to help the poor. But the affirmative side has been irresponsible because they still haven't proven that they can get enough money. Because if they increase the tax rates, the rich will move to places with low tax rates, such as Fiji and Virgin Islands and stuff like that. And if they raise debts, then after a lot of years, after Taiwan's debt gets very high, then nobody wants to buy debt from us because our credit rates get very low. And besides, by taxing extra money and getting extra money and giving it out to the society, they will cause inflation, which makes their ability to solve these problems lower. Okay, so even if they can get money, then we can also get the money. And we think the problem is that their money distribution is inefficient. So if they take this money and put it into all these social welfare, social subsidies, then they can better solve the problems of unemployment, better solve the problems of the poverty. No matter if they can't get a subsidy now, it's because there's not enough money or there's not enough information. We can put all these money into these subsidies and help the poor people leave the poverty, leave the environment of the poverty, and improve their lives. So our problem is that if the rich don't need this money, then why are you giving it to the rich? They're making billions and millions every year. Why are you giving them 10,000? Why can't we use this 10,000 and put it into the welfare to improve the poor people's education, to help them go and get jobs, to help them get food, to help them apply for these subsidies, to find people to tell them how to apply for these low-income subsidies. So their problems about unemployment and poor people are better solved if they don't give the money to the rich people.
We don't disclose, right? We don't tell them how we vote, right? I'm not sure. Do you guys know if judges disclose this tournament?
No,
We're
not.
It's the first time
we get on the debate.
get on English debate.
Have you heard if the judges tell you if you win or not?
Yes. Some will say about.
I'm just not sure. There's normally rules, like if we can tell you.
Oh yeah,
I think-
give a speech or something.
I think.
You can talk about
You can talk about
The general comments.
Yeah, the general.
Okay. That's comments, but not saying who won.
They will tell who wins.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's a panel, so
Oh, sure.
I'm not sure. I just want to double check so I don't tell anything.
In Chinese debate, we'll give all the papers to someone who is
Yeah.
counting the time.
I know eventually. I'm just saying right now. In some tournaments, I feel like you can disclose immediately, and some are not okay with that. But I guess for now, just want to say good job, and I hope it was fun and enjoyable. I think both of you can get some cross time earlier on in the debate if possible. I feel like it took a long time for you to actually attack your opponent's arguments, and then also for y'all in your sorry, what's it called, your first speech even, I forget what in PF what it's called, but you don't have to just read your case. You have enough time while they're giving their speech to also start working on their arguments. And I think if you get to it even earlier in the debate, then you give yourself more ground to work off of. But generally, great job extending your arguments to the other sides of the flow. Other than that, I would say if you're going to use a story in the end, make sure you connect it really well to your opponent's arguments. I think that story would have fit well into several claims that they made, and if you connect it across, it will be even stronger. I think that's all. Comments?
Great job, guys. I can tell that you took time to prepare, for your arguments, and you did try to forward them way that probably you had intended to. And I thought you could have asked them more questions also for their own basis, rather than feeling attacked, you know. And on the other side, even though you guys have had so much questions for them, give them time to respond. Give them time to respond next time. But yeah, good job.
Well, same thing with me. I think. I'm just gonna comment on the general, I guess, posture and everything else. I think you guys did a great job in terms of like being on the stage. But maybe, well, I don't know. Are these all your first time trying the English debate, or?
That is our first time.
What about you guys?
Second time.
Second time. So I think it is okay to kind of. You don't really need to always read off your computer or your notepad, whatever. Sometimes you can, whenever you guys have a rebuttal, it's okay to kind of look at your opponent in the eyes, and then, but just that's nothing too major. And then just another note, like maybe you guys have a next round in the afternoon or tomorrow, yeah, try to let them finish their rebuttal, and then have you guys come on it to comment. I know you guys already, because when they were talking, they were commenting about the contingent or whatnot. You already have the answer, right? So yeah, try to wait for a little bit after they finish. But overall, good job. Yeah. So just quick, do you guys know you have to pick pro or con before the debate, or do they assign the?
They flip a coin. They flip a
Okay.
coin.
Okay.
I think that's everything. You guys are good to go.
So, are we gonna get a result?
I think they will tell you. I'm honestly not sure. Like,
When are
Because we have a next.
I can ask really quickly. Did they tell you, like, I came a little bit late to the judge briefing. Did they say that they could? They didn't mention it. Do you know, are we able to disclose the results?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay, so we can, okay. Yeah, so we can say that, sorry. Yeah, we gave some comments, but I didn't know if we could tell them or not.
Comments and results?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, then, yeah, I'm voting con, and then I'm mostly voting on, I feel like they dropped a lot of arguments. The only argument that I feel like you guys actually responded to in the flow was a little bit on, the like rich people moving out of Taiwan. I think that was kind of a crazy argument, honestly, that people are gonna move to the British Islands, but because you didn't attack that, I kind of just have to go with what they said. So next time, just don't let them get away with something like that. Like if I was in the round, I would have been like, who's gonna move from Taiwan to the British Virgin Islands? But you guys did a really incredible job, like cross-applying your arguments, and I really enjoyed the turn on the inflation argument. So great job there.
Yeah, great job to both of you guys, and I'll go for the con as well. Yeah, they were able to articulate their arguments, and yeah. And I felt they asked critical questions. Why do you guys allocate certain amount of money to certain individuals? I really feel there's a lot of evidence for you that you would have come up to back that, in terms of the expenditure of each individual per group in Taiwan. Is it average to how much? So why are you accounting for maybe 5,000 for children and 10,000 for adults, or so on and so forth? So, yeah.
So yes, I voted for Kang, the建中. So I think, I think two things. I think the committee was something they guys already told you guys, do not worry about English, do not worry about how you speak and all that stuff. But I think建中, they did a great job in terms of citing I believe it was from Investopedia's argument, and also the inflation. So those are very clear and then very easy for people who do not understand UBI before to actually understand why they're supporting the Kang side. And I think for Wanfang, I think was it Then, I think you were mentioning about a story in the end, right? So if you could connect it well to back it up, your argument, I think that would be a good crossfire or the rebuttal. And then I guess just when you guys were doing the crossfire, just it's okay to kind of slow down. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about vocabulary or whatnot. Just hold your ground, and then yeah. But overall, good job. Yeah, I think this time建中, they won by having a clear argument, especially in the beginning, the first round. So if you next time if you guys can come up with more, I guess easy to understand argument or citing more numbers and the reasoning, I think that could be a good comeback. So,
Thank you.
so good job.
Thank you.